This week on VHS Boys, we made Russ watch Abel Ferrara's second feature film, Miss 45, which is actually his third feature if you count the porno he made in the 1970s, which is called 9 Lives of a Wet Pussy.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Ooh.
He's in it, too.
Oh, wow. Is he the wet pussy?
There's a quote online about him making the movie, and he says it's really terrible paying someone to f your girlfriend, but it's even worse when they can't get it up.
Come, let us give our father wine to drink. Let us lie with him and preserve offspring from our father.
He had to step in and on film.
Be the body double. Wow.
Stunt cock.
This he knows his craft, and he's dedicated to getting what he needs.
It's a very interesting guy.
Yeah. You know what? The more I watch Abel Ferrara's movies, the more I like him, Gary.
This film was critically detested when it was released. It has since become a cult film, obviously, like many of Abel Ferrara's movies, and is now generally regarded among fans of underground and independent films as a classic. I think the critics kind of missed that this movie is a satire. It's more of a black comedy than a straight-on, like, rape revenge film. The harsh reaction is kind of surprising because Miss 45 is obviously satirical, and it's not nearly as harsh as Thriller or I Spit on Your Grave. Miss 45 was released on VHS, completely uncut by USA Home Video in 1983. If you saw this on video back in the day, you got to see the original cut with all the violence intact. The DVD, on the other hand, released in 2000, was edited to remove a minute of footage.
What version do we watch?
I believe it's the uncut version.
It seemed like it. From what I read, is like the stuff's there, like
yeah.
piece of dialogue and whatever.
No, I'm pretty sure the HD version of this film is the original version.
Nice. I'm glad I saw like the director's cut then, and not like
absolutely
butchered DVD release.
I think Bad Lieutenant is like censored on Tubi.
Was it?
Yeah.
Huh.
Remember you didn't get to see Harvey Keitel's penis?
Oh yeah, I didn't get to see that. Nuts. I mean, no nuts.
I'll never part from you and your loving way.
I'm going to go ahead and recommend this film, especially if you're a fan of Abel Ferrara or if you like rape revenge films of the 1970s, like Thriller, which is obviously a big influence on Miss 45. This film undeniably stands on the shoulders of Taxi Driver and Death Wish, but the film Thriller most of all. There are many similarities, but I also think Ferrara was consciously twisting the form into something a little more interesting.
Because, would you mind to talk about Thriller real quick and why that was?
In Miss 45, the woman is assaulted, and she doesn't go after the men who assaulted her and get revenge. She just kills men.
Right.
Obviously there's like a satirical aspect to it. It's also not a film that portrays men in a very positive way. So there's like a real moral ambiguity to Miss 45 that makes it more interesting than a lot of those other exploitation films.
Where what? The men are less scum or clearly more scum? Or what do you mean?
They're not as clearly scum. It's more of like, I don't know if some of these men deserve to die.
Sure.
So if you enjoyed Bad Lieutenant and King of New York, then I think you'll get something out of this film as well. It's not as strong of a film as either of those, but I'm still going to give Miss 45 3 stars. This is where you start to see flashes of Ferrara's brilliance as a director. I think he really came to his own with his next film, Fear City, which has very strong direction. Please give me your review and rating and whatnot.
Well, again, like Abel's other movies, if you look at this movie, I mean, I'm going to give spoilers, so if you're watching this and you don't want to know how it goes, turn it off, watch the movie, come back, and let us review it. But it's right. Our protagonist is violently sexually assaulted twice in one day. Once after coming home from on her way home from work. In an alley, and then as soon as she gets home, there's a burglar in there who also takes advantage of her. But what's I found the most interesting about it is that she is like a mute, right? She doesn't have a voice. And I feel like if you take that and apply that to all the women who are assaulted who feel like they don't have a voice or can't actually talk to someone about it, it's very like isolating. Like I can't, I've never been sexually assaulted, knock on some fucking wood.
Well, we'll see how this review goes.
Yeah. But I think if you take her, you know, her journey as like a metaphor for all these voiceless women who are assaulted daily, you know, who don't have the power to stand up and fight against scummy men, until they do, I think it works. And then, you know, at the end, really she goes on this men murder spree, which again is totally sanctioned in this movie because everybody's a piece of shit who has a penis. And so I was fine with her killing it, but the one person who stops her at the end is her friend, a woman who literally stabs her in the back. And then the one word this woman is able to say at the end, this mute who hasn't been able to talk the entire time, is sister, while she like begs for, you know, aid from her fellow women who are just letting men get away with what they're getting away with, you know? And so I think with that in mind, this movie's pretty strong, and I would give it at least a 3 out of 5.
There's an importance to the contrast in where she lives. She's in New York City, which is like a loud, boisterous city. Sure. Where you need a voice to not get walked all over.
Totally.
So there's even more of a, you know, kind of a contrast there with her surrounding.
Just being like this quiet, docile person.
Yeah, yeah.
So my next question, Gary, this is typically you've been working a lot in New York. This is typically your day. You're coming home from work and you get railed behind a dumpster, and then you get home and there's
I often
a burglar.
get sexually assaulted multiple times a day by small Italian men who look like Abel Ferrara.
New York.
And the truth is, I'm big enough that I could probably stop them, but you know, you're in their city. It's like, let them have their fun.
It's the Big Apple.
Yeah. I try to be a little bit, you know, open-minded to other cultures.
Thanks, Gary. That's very forward-thinking of you.
Which has led me to get HIV, but that's the risk that you take.
Such is life.
Miss 45 was acquired by Alamo Drafthouse Films in October 2013 and remastered in HD from the original negatives. A Blu-ray and DVD was released in 2014, so it's pretty easy to get an HD version of this film. It's also streaming for free on Peacock, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if Peacock bought this film or if it was bundled with like a bunch of other Alamo Drafthouse films, but it seems like an interesting choice for NBC's streaming platform. Right?
Yeah, it didn't feel quite right. But at the same time, this movie isn't just your typical, like, it's not, it is gratuitous and it makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
But it's not
it's really not gratuitous. It is a sexually assault scene, so obviously it's hard to watch, but
sure.
I wouldn't say it was gratuitous.
Right. Gratuitous would be showing her titties and like doing some other things that are like, you know, meant to tantalize the audience. It reminds me of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, his first kill or whatever. There's no reason for that lady's tits to pop out, but they do. And then they're mixing violence and sex together in a way that's going to confuse the audience. This one didn't. The sex is clearly bad, and it's not a good thing, and we feel gross watching it. It's not trying to show her titties and be like, oh, but it's kind of sexy. It's not sexy. It's very upsetting.
Yeah, I think this film kind of walks the line between being like an exploitation film and like an art house film, which is kind of Abel Ferrara in a nutshell.
Sure. It didn't really feel too exploitative. It clearly is, but not like other movies, and I think that's why I gave it as high a rating as I did.
You know, for me, this movie really picks up when Thanos shoots the creepy photographer in his studio. That is a really well done sequence. This also introduces one of the bigger plot holes because the film never explains how Thanos reloads her stolen .45 caliber pistol. She just has infinite bullets throughout the movie.
Sure.
She shot the cat caller. She put like 7 rounds into the creepy photographer. She should be out of bullets, and we're just getting started.
Right. Yeah. Maybe Assaultus number 2 had a pocket full of shells.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been great if there was a sequence of her like practicing with the gun.
Sure.
But, you know.
You want training montage where she's like at a shooting range, getting better and better. It just puts up a picture of a man and just blasts his dick off.
Possibly, or at least a scene that explains where she gets bullets. Right? Like that could have been done pretty simply.
Sure.
But it's not important. This movie is more about the experience. It's more of like a art house film.
Right. And I think that also works towards loosening it from the narrative and more like arting it.
So next, Thanos shoots a pimp who's arguing with a prostitute, which is probably one of the more justified shootings.
Sure.
But even that one's a little iffy.
I mean, you say arguing, but he's like hitting her, right?
Yeah, but we really don't know that particular pimp and prostitute and their relationship. It might be one of mutual agreement. She's just killing men.
But it's a man who's in charge of a woman, and she's subservient to him, and he's now aggressively attacking her to some degree.
Yeah, no,
right?
I agree.
So,
I think this is one of the more justified shootings.
and, I don't want to say that. I mean, I do want to say.
What's that?
Pimps, they're not good people.
Yeah, possibly not.
A lot of time. I mean, if you.
But you're also really judging this guy based off of very little info.
Sure.
That's just part of the game.
Right.
Like if you want to be a prostitute, you need a pimp to protect you. So
I guess so.
Who's to say killing this pimp isn't hurting women?
I mean, but in this world where all men are trash in this movie, I wouldn't put it
But
past him.
I wouldn't say that either. There's a few scenes in this movie where you feel bad for the guys. Like the guy who kills himself. I mean, I was gonna get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, I mean,
but
you still can.
yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of unjustified violence in this movie towards men.
Sure.
And I think that that's part of the point of it. Because you've had a bad experience with men doesn't mean all men are evil.
Sure.
You know?
I disagree.
Yeah, you hate men, huh, Russ?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scum of the earth.
Well, I guess you should probably kill yourself. The Thana character isn't really a vigilante who kills men because they have wronged her. That's the way it begins, but she begins murdering men just because they're men. She becomes
But they're all sketchy men to some degree.
a little bit, but not to the point where they've really done anything comparable to the men who wronged her.
Sure, but do you want to let it get that far? Would any of these men, given the opportunity, have assaulted her eventually? Do you think that Saudi Arabian man in his limo, who would probably feel entitled to the woman he's paying to do whatever he wants with her, or like?
Well, that's
et cetera,
hardly
et cetera.
rape, dude. When you pay a woman for sex and you have sex with her, it's not exactly rape.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be. If it's consensual, then it's not.
Yeah.
But if you're doing weird things that they're not into, that's rape. If you start out as regular sex, Gary, and then you go off
None
and
of this happens.
No, I'm not saying you. If one goes off and like is having sex with someone, and then it turns weird into a way
You
they
really
don't
do
like.
hate men. Like, you didn't even have any sympathy for the guy, for like the sad sack guy who lost his wife. You're just like, yeah, I hope this guy dies.
Yeah, I hope he
didn't do anything.
I mean, a lot of us.
That's what I think the whole point of the movie is, because Thana, through this violence, she becomes the thing that she fears, which is a predator of the opposite sex. She completely becomes the monster that turned her into that monster. It's like, in a weird kind of like circle. I figured that was what Ferrara was kind of trying to say with this.
Interesting.
I don't really know for sure. It's just kind of my own.
Right, that's your reading of it.
Yeah.
Because there's a surprising little amount of like discourse about what the movie is like trying to say online. I like did some research. I was like, what do other people think about this?
No, I don't think people really get it. I think that's why it got such bad reviews.
Yeah, sure. And I think that's why this podcast is important, people.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
we're really breaking down this movie.
This is
ways
the
that nobody
number
thinks
one
about.
arts and humanities podcast on YouTube.
Guaranteed. Like,
It's not.
What is it? It's better than Skibbity Toilet,
What's that?
What the heck is going on
You haven't heard of Skibbity Toilet?
No.
It's some sort of weird animation where there's like it's bad CG where there's like heads coming out of toilets. I don't really know. Children watch it, but they ought not. And Michael Bay is turning it into a movie and a TV series now. The point is,
Who cares? Fuck Michael Bay.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
No. He already had too much sex anyways.
Yeah. He's done with sex. He's had too much.
Yeah. We're cutting Michael Bay off from pussy.
Yeah. He only gets explosions from
dick.
here on out.
What's that?
He only gets explosions from here on out.
Yeah.
Which is what he loves to anyway. So
He does love explosions. I just think the difference between Miss 45 and like most of the other like rape revenge movies is that motivation. There isn't much of motivation. So it almost feels like it's a parody of rape revenge movies.
Because in the other ones, they're always going after the assaultists.
Yeah, the other ones there's like a sense to them. They go after the people who raped them, or men who are doing similar awful things. And this one, she just kind of becomes a misandrist.
Sure.
Which is also gave me a great idea for my own female revenge movie, which is just called Miss Andrist.
Okay.
Which I think would be pretty good.
Sandrist.
But we'll talk about that later. In the sixth episode of the HBO teen drama Euphoria, the character Kat Hernandez, portrayed by Barbie Ferrara, no relation to the director, just a coincidence.
Interesting.
But she dresses up as Thana for Halloween.
Which costume?
The nun outfit. Barbie Ferrara dresses up like the nun from the end of the film.
Nice.
And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Barbie Ferrara, but she is a plus-sized model turned actress. And Russ, before you make any crude jokes about her figure, I'll remind you that VHS Boys is a body-positive program. We support people of all body types, no matter how disgusting they are.
Oh my God.
So I'm here to just put a kibosh on any of your jokes.
You're the worst, Gary. You know what? I've dated enough women with eating disorders where it just
Russ,
everyone's got their own body.
I don't think you've dated any women as fat as Barbie Ferrara, but you can try to virtue signal all you want, pal.
I once made out with like a 300-pound woman.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I mean,
was she hot?
She was pretty.
The tone of your voice said everything.
Yeah,
she was pretty.
No, she was pretty. I mean, yeah. I would have slept with her, but we didn't.
Sure.
Yeah. Listen, you don't have to be pretty to sleep with me, Gary. I'm fucking easy, dude. So.
Yeah, well, I don't think Abel Ferrara would be able to get the best of Barbie Ferrara in an alley. She has the physique of an NFL linebacker and would probably beat the fuck out of both of those rapists.
Check that guy. Good.
So there's a real irony to her being the one.
Do you think they gave her that costume because her last name was Ferrara and they're like, that's funny?
Maybe.
Or is it like pertinent to the themes of that episode?
I don't know. I've never watched Euphoria because it's like a show about teenagers fucking.
Yeah.
And as a 35-year-old man, I feel kind of weird watching something like that.
Yeah, what do you want? The algorithm to start sending you more like teenagers fucking content?
Send me more plus-size models. To be fair, I'm just joking. Barbie Ferrara is very pretty for a big fat lady. Like, I don't mean to be mean.
Yeah, fucking worst.
Russ, this one's taken us to 1,000 subs. I'm honestly not too mad about plus-size models. I think models with big fat asses is generally a win for society.
Oh, everybody loves that.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a big fat ass. Nobody likes a flat ass. Nobody wants that shit.
That's
just
interesting
gonna
you say that.
stab my fucking hip bones.
I think men find a wide range of female body types attractive, and there's like a thing where different body types become hip or popular at certain times, and everyone tries to chase that. Like when you look at like the Kim Kardashian body type, which I think Kim Kardashian's hot, but then like you have her little sister who like got all the surgeries to look like that, and it's like that's not her shape. She would have been a different shaped woman, which is also fine.
Yeah.
She could have been a very attractive, slender figured woman. So it is bizarre that people kind of chase these
people just filling up their butts with concrete or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, getting the Brazilian butt lifts and all the weird plastic surgery.
Brazilian, you know what a Brazilian butt lift actually is?
I do. I know exactly what it is.
That shit's crazy.
Yeah, they cut you around the waist and they pull your ass up.
Like a pair of pants. They really hike them up.
Dude, I work with models. You think I don't?
Yeah, all right.
It's hilarious. The way you can tell if a girl's had a Brazilian butt lift is where her hips start. If her hips start above like where her belly button is, that's a Brazilian butt lift. It's just that's not how bodies are supposed to work.
Your ass doesn't start here.
No.
out of your ribs. Yeah.
It looks good, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely strange.
I mean, any sort of body modification is kind of strange, I don't have any tattoos. I think tattoos are kind of strange. Gary's got a ton of tattoos. Body piercings. I don't have any piercings. I think piercings are kind of weird.
Yeah.
You know, putting big gauges in your ears. That's kind of weird. Putting big plates in your lip. That's weird. Or like rings around your neck till you got like a foot long neck. That's strange to me. And these are all forms of body modification. Even working out to the point where it's just like you can't put your arms down. That's body modification, and I also think that's kind of weird. Like these are all very extreme cases of
yeah.
things
Well, I mean, I think somebody
guy,
who's that jacked is obviously not doing it naturally, so that is a whole other thing. But
right.
I
So
wouldn't try to put a negative connotation on working out.
Oh no, I'm not trying to put a negative connotation in any of this. Like if you want to put plates in your lips or get tattoos, like that's totally cool with me. If you want to get a Brazilian butt lift, even though they're very dangerous and very expensive, like that's by all means, do what makes you happy. If you have the money and the time and aren't worried about the dangers of doing any of these things, then by all means, please enjoy your life, have fun, don't hurt others.
If we start a Kickstarter, would you be willing to get a Brazilian butt lift if we raise the money? Russ, you'll have a big fat ass.
Oh, I already have kind of a big fat ass, Gary. It's one of my best features.
Then I guess it's not so alluring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steve-O's getting tits.
Is he?
Did you hear about this?
No.
Steve-O is going to get double D breast implants. He's getting pretty desperate for attention.
Yeah, I was going to say that. That sounds like I wouldn't have
It's a
expected
step above swallowing a goldfish.
Yeah. Or letting a snake bite your dick.
So, us getting BBLs wouldn't be that weird in that context.
And we could probably cash in on that too.
Would you rather get a BBL or get breast implants?
BBL.
Yeah, I agree.
I know that women have enough trouble with their backs, from having breasts. I don't need that getting in my way of like doing anything. Like imagine, dude, boobs are just a real hassle. Get that shit out of here.
It'd be weird too. Can you imagine, like, especially you, imagine being a dude with a mullet and tits just walking around. Actually, it's probably not that strange for LA.
That's my old boss, dude. Yeah. So.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I don't want to become my old boss.
Did you really work for a guy with big tits?
Yeah, he had fake tits. He was in, I don't know if he was in transition. He mentioned every once in a while he'd walk around smoking a big cigar. He was he was masculine, but then I guess he wasn't or something.
What the fuck job was this?
I was working set construction.
That's interesting, man.
Yeah.
Russ, sometimes these things just slide out of you, and I'm like,
he had a wife.
You have way more interesting life experience than I thought.
Oh, Gary, you haven't even heard half of it. I don't say the stuff on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I don't tell you either because I know you bring it up on the podcast. And
yeah, you'd be afraid I'd make fun of your boss's big fat tits.
He didn't show them off. He didn't have low cut shirts or anything.
But they were there.
Yeah, he obviously.
And they were obviously breast implants.
His pecs were bigger than they ought to be. And I think he's fully transitioned. I accidentally saw him on Facebook or something the other day. And I was like, oh, wow, they're wearing makeup.
And the tits were first on this journey. You think you'd wait last for the tits.
Right?
I don't know. I guess I'm not transitioning, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Everybody's got their own reasons for transitioning, Gary. So I can't speak one way or another about this guy, this person's transition and their choices.
I appreciate your candor, Russ. I think we can just write them off as being gross.
Yeah, the person they were just a gross person.
Excuse me, sir, you are in fact a freak.
Not a very nice person either, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, then fuck them. We can
Kind of a
definitely
dick.
make jokes about their big fake tits.
Yeah, exactly. So
If they were really nice, I'd feel bad about it.
yeah,
Because who am I to
right.
judge?
But no, this person's kind of an asshole.
Yeah,
So.
fuck them then.
Yeah, whatever.
And I guess that's basically it, Russ. I can't talk to
Riz. That's my name now.
That's basically it, Russ.
Mm-hmm.
We're done with Miss 45, and that's a positive review from both of us. So, if you haven't seen this film, I say go watch Miss 45.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen Barbie Ferrara, go check her out.
Go watch teenagers having sex on a HBO show.
It's interesting. I didn't know there were Euphoria was about big fat teenagers having sex.
Here's the thing:
young
they're 20-year-olds.
Oh, they're college age. That's not as bad.
Well, the actors are 20. The
Oh, they're
characters
yeah.
are high school.
That's another thing too. It's like that the
So
girl
we're
from
making-
that Wednesday movie.
Yeah, sure.
She's like 23 or something, but she looks like she's fucking 12.
Right, but they're still like sexualizing her at the same time. It's complicated.
My theory is that Hollywood just loves her because she looks like she's fucking 10,
Sure.
and they're a bunch of fucking pedophiles.
Yeah. Hollywood. Fuck you. Hot take. Hollywood pedophiles fucking suck.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, be too crazy here, but I think we can both agree that pedophile is not very good.
Pedophiles, rapists,
Not good.
don't like and subscribe.
Also, we're joking. I don't really think everyone in Hollywood is a pedophile.
No.
Just
No,
the
'cause
people
we're
at
in
Disney and Nickelodeon and
and all the big studios.
Yeah.
Anywhere you could hope to want to go,
Yeah.
Oh, well. Maybe if we get the Brazilian butt lifts and shave our faces.
No,
get in
Russ,
there.
I don't think it would be a good idea to give you a womanly figure. I think what we should do is Botox you up,
Okay.
get you an oversized baseball cap, make you look like you're like 5,
Mm.
and then we can be successful in Hollywood.
Got a big lollipop.
Yeah.
Sure. You need your dick sucked. Disgusting. People disgust me, and I think that's why I was so on our protagonist's side there, because she only really dealt with kind of gross people.
Yeah.
And
And
at the end of the day,
honestly, that's what I love about this movie. It's like the men are kind of gross, but they never really deserve what they get from her. So the whole
and
thing.
the two assaultists get away. Oh, the one doesn't. He gets chopped up and butchered, whatever. But go on.
Oh, you mean the first rapist gets? Yeah, Abel Ferrara kind of skates.
Yeah.
Not much happens to him.
Right.
He just gets a load off.
Right.
But I just enjoy that there's like a moral ambiguity to this movie. It's not so simple. It's like a twist
Sure.
of the female revenge movie. It's not just the
Not
thing. It's like a
just-
satire or a parody or just like kind of a twist on it. And that's what makes it interesting, if
Sure.
that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it really worked. So if you're out there, check out Miss 45 if you like that sort of movie or want to see a twist on it.
Okay, I love you，我去想念你，請你莫逃避，維護你，原諒你，拋開貪生怕死，一切為咗你。